you.
From Royal Communications Incorporated, good evening and welcome to King's News Broom 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Today is Tuesday, October 14, 2025, and I'm Shemon Dia presenting. In the headlines, Liberia National Police clears suspended Youth and Sports Deputy Minister Bryant McGill of rape allegations. RG Gregory Coleman says investigators found no incriminating evidence. St. Kennedy Funeral Parlor in Bond County issues 1 month ultimatum on families with overstayed remains at its facility, claims over 96,000 United States dollars for environment cost. And also in the news tonight, Maryland County Senator Glebo Brown accuses government of undermining Accra Peace Accord in violation of the nation's rule of law. Away from home, a Kenyan police officer stationed at one of the gates of the president's official residence in the capital, Nairobi, has died after being shot with an arrow, officials have said. These plus the news bulletin, voices of those making the news at our package. We'll take a short break to be right back. Welcome back at this juncture. We join Newton Tokpa with the news bulletin.
The Liberia National Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman says investigators have found no that's incriminating evidence against suspended Deputy Minister Bryant McGill following analysis of his mobile phone. Speaking Tuesday at Mika regular press briefing, Ajit Coleman disclosed that the phone examination produced nothing that would warrant a charge against McGill, who was accused of rape. He added that the next phase of the investigation involves DNA testing, but the process has been delayed due to the malfunctioning of the equipment that have requested assistance from the foreign government but are still awaiting support. Ajit Coleman told the press briefing that McGill is cooperating well with the investigation, with his passport in possession of the police, so as not to leave the country, and mobile phones turned over for further screening. With the DNA machines in the country not working at the moment to run the former minister and the alleged victims' specimens, the police said it remains the final remedy to close the alleged rape case. In separate development, Coleman announced the arrest of 6 individuals in connection with the brutal assault on Prince Yellow, who was reportedly accused of being a motorcycle thief. Meridian County Senator Glebo Brown has frowned on bad governance under the United Party government, terming it a violation of the rule of law. Speaking at the opening of the 42nd section of the Liberian Senate on Tuesday, Senator Brown said continued refusal to adhere to the rule of law undermines the Ghana-Accra peace. According to him, Accra Peace talks about adherence to good governance and the rule of law, something he said the United Party government for the past 2 years failed. The senator criticized the continued tenure of the chairperson and co-chairperson of the Governance Commission, who, according to him, have not appeared before the Senate for confirmation in over 2 years. He described their continued service as illegal and a direct affront to the constitutional authority of the legislature. The Maryland County Senator noted that the Governance Commission initially established to promote democratic reform and good governance, adding that the executive branch continued approval of the chairperson and co-chairperson undermines the status of good governance. He called on the plenary of the Liberian Senate to invite the Ministry of Justice to answer questions why the executive branch continued to disrespect legal and constitutional authority bodies. The St. Kennedy Funeral Home in Banga, Bon County has alarmed over the prolonged stay of two deceased persons whose bodies have deposited at the facility since 2021. Speaking to journalists in Banga on Tuesday, the funeral home director Kennedy Smith issued 1 month ultimatum for the families of the bodies to come forward and settle their obligations and give their loved ones a dignified burial. Smith expressed deep concern over the overstay of the corpses, describing it as both emotionally and financially burdensome for his establishment. It disclosed that the funeral home has been keeping the remains of the late Bboard Flomo, 32, who died on November 25, 2021, in Kokoya District, and the late Jenkins Grally, 16, who passed away on October 5, 2021, in Palala by District. According to him, both families signed contracts authorizing embalmment and agreed to settle all related costs before retrieving the remains for burial. However, nearly 4 years later, the family has failed to fulfill those obligations, leaving the funeral home to shoulder the cost. It is estimated that the accumulated storage cost has now reached about 96,000 United States dollars for the two bodies combined. The former president of the Liberal Council of Churches has underscored the need for President Joseph Walker to reshuffle his cabinet. Bishop Brown noted that after 2 years of ascendancy, the president has not been able to overhaul his government as a means of ensuring inclusion and rotation. The general overseer of the Apostolic Pentecostal Church International believes the overhauling of the cabinet will bring some new dynamism and inject new strategies in addressing the bread and butter issue and economic challenges of the ordinary people. He claimed that after 2 years, it is time President Boakat make review of the performances of officials in order to open a new page that will help accelerate social, economic, and infrastructural development by making his vision a reality. According to Bishop Brown, the former President George Weah maintained one set of people in governance until the Liberian people became very angry of their performances of certain officials in some positions in government. Sando County Senator Councilor Augustine Chie had described what he termed as deplorable conditions of schools in Sando County. Speaking Tuesday in section, giving an update from his constituency, Councilor Chie said rapidly deteriorating state of public infrastructure and education in his county, calling for urgent intervention in the upcoming national budget. Senator Chia described the alarming conditions of schools in Sano, especially public schools, as an extreme state of disrepair. He reported that numerous school buildings lack roofs, walls, and even chairs, rendering them completely unfit for learning. As a result, a significant number of students remain out of school. He lamented that the government's chronic neglect of rural education, pointed out that most public schools in Sano are currently closed, calling it as national embarrassment. Senator Chia stressed that the upcoming national budget must prioritize significant investments in education, roads, and essential infrastructure, adding that if nothing is done in the coming budget, he would not support the budget passage. The senator also highlighted the state of road connectivity in the county, especially in Greenville, Sano's capital, and one of Liberia's most populated cities, and explained that poor condition of roads is crippling access to education, healthcare, and economic opportunities for thousands of citizens. In addition to education and roads, Senator Chia criticized the dilapidated condition of government buildings, including the administrative complex, city hall, and other public service facilities. Senator Chia called on his fellow legislators to move beyond political rhetoric and take decisive action that reflects the life that's the livelihood of the ordinary Liberians. For the second day in road, academic activities at the William V. S. Totman High School have come to a complete halt as frustrated 12th grade students staged protests over the unexplained withholding of their mathematics results from the West African Senior School Certificate Examination. The West African Examination Council, the regional body responsible for administering the exams, has cited suspected collusion as a reason for the delay, but has failed to provide any public evidence or clarification to support the claim. The affected students whose graduation depends on the release of these results, are accusing WAEC of negligence and lack of transparency. And in an effort to transform Liberia's tourism industry into a substance for inclusive economic growth, the Governance Commission, in partnership with the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism and the Liberian National Tourism Authority, Tuesday convened a one-day public policy dialogue on tourism at the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf Ministerial Complex in Monrovia. Held under the theme reviewing Liberia's tourism sector for inclusive economic growth and development. The forum brought together government officials, private sector leaders, civil society actors, international partners, and a chart of a new course for tourism policy and development in Liberia. In his opening remarks, Professor Alaric Tupa, chairman of the Governance Commission, described the forum as a timely and strategic platform aligned with Liberia's national development agenda. Professor Tokpat emphasized tourism potential to create jobs, preserve culture, and reinforce national identity, reflecting on recent high-level cultural exchange with Sierra Leone, noting that it underscored the role of tourism in fostering regional integration and historical recognition. It also praised international partners, notably the Nigerian Tourism Development Corporation, and extended special recognition to Mr. Nosa, Nigeria's Director General for Planning, Research and Development, for his role in promoting cross-section cooperation. Also, in remarks, Christopher Onanuga, Director General of the Liberian National Tourism Authority, called on stakeholders to view tourism as more than a recreational sector, but as a vehicle for empowerment, environmental protection, and national transformation. He announced the upcoming entrepreneurship initiative designed to help Liberians turn modest capital into viable business within the tourism value chain. It also emphasized the importance of reclaiming Liberia's cultural narrative, highlighting the importance of regional cooperation, opening to Nigeria's sources in translating complex challenges into economic opportunity. The ambassador urged Liberians to embrace homegrown solutions and unlock the potential of local resources from biodiversity and agricultural output.
Nathan talked about with the news bulletin. The news bulletin is a regular feature on King's Newsroom. A reminder you're listening to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa in our one word. Stories we're following tonight: Liberia National Police clears suspended Youth and Sports Deputy Minister Bryant McGill of rape allegations. RJ Gregory Coleman says investigators found no incriminating evidence. St. Kennedy Funeral Pilot in Bond County issues 1 month ultimatum on families with overstayed remains at its facility, claims over 96,000 dollars for embalmment cost. In us in the news tonight, Maryland County Senator Glebo Brown accuses government of undermining Accra Peace Accord in violation of the nation's rule of law. Away from home, a Kenyan police officer stationed at one of the gates of the president's official residence in the capital, Nairobi, has died after being shot with an arrow, officials have said. We'll take a break to be back with voices of the newspapers. Welcome back and thanks for being there. The Liberia National Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman says investigators have found no incriminating evidence against suspended Deputy Minister Bryant McGill following an analysis of his mobile phone. Speaking Tuesday at MICAT regular press briefing, RG Common disclosed that the phone examination produced nothing that would warrant a charge against McGill, who was accused of rape. He added that the next phase of the investigation involves DNA testing, but the process has been delayed due to malfunctioning equipment and have requested assistance from a foreign government, but are still awaiting support.
On the Brian McGill case, we were at the point where his phone was being analyzed. We had exhausted that of the cell phone tower records, which supported his alibi. And we had two last steps, and that was one, the analysis of his phone, and that of the DNA testing. The phone analysis has come back, and we still have not found anything incriminating in the phone to have him charged. So at this point, the last thing we're looking at will be if we can find any other information from the DNA analysis. Unfortunately, the machines here are not working, so we've asked for help, and we're still waiting for response from the government that we've asked for help on this issue. Let me say this, we're investigators. We cannot allow our personal emotions to lead the investigation. Then basically, we fail. We've already failed. And to a larger extent, I think our emotions are being high for all of us on this particular case. Unfortunately, we just have not been able to establish the probable cause. In this case, I know there was a case cited about Puma versus Republic of Liberia, where this guy was accused by the lady, and yes, he was brought into to answer, and he was charged for his crime. If this had been a case where this girl in an isolated area in a bush or somewhere had an encounter with this particular man and said, this is the man, yes, we're arresting for him to come and vindicate himself. What makes this case unique is that there's electronic evidence that contradicts what these claims are. So on the basis of that, we cannot look at an upright contradiction of the evidence and go ahead and make an arrest. I would like to re-echo, no one is above the law. As a matter of fact, Mr. McGill has already been suspended. So if it's his right and dignity as a minister that we're trying to protect, I think by now that has been stripped off him, and we should be able to do the needful. Unfortunately, in this case, what the needful is not what everybody else would want to hear. But we're still looking, the investigation is not closed. Something did happen to the little girl, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
Police Inspector General Conor Gregory Coleman, the speaking during MIGAT press briefing earlier on today. Maryland County Senator J. Glebo Brown has frowned on bad governance under the United Party-led government, terming it a violation of the rule of law. Speaking at the opening of the 42nd session of the Liberian Senate on Tuesday, Senator Brown said continual refusal to adhere to the rule of law undermined the Accra Peace Accord. According to him, Accra Peace talked about adherence to good governance and the rule of law, something he said the United Party government for the past years failed to follow. We'll bring you the except in our subsequent newscast. St. Kennedy Funeral Home in Bangabon County has alarmed over the prolonged state of two deceased persons whose bodies have been deposited at the facility since 2021. Speaking to a journalist in Banga Tuesday, the funeral home director, Kennedy Smith, issued a 1-month ultimatum for the families of the bodies to come forward, settle their obligations, and give their loved ones a dignified burial. Smith expressed deep concern over the overstate of the corpse, describing it as both emotionally and financially burdensome for his establishment.
October to November make the both about 4 good years. The government try to help the bereaved family by performing autopsies to know the cause of death. Since then, the family member they don't want to take the body. So I decided to have a clearance, to go to the court and have a clearance to bury those two remains at any time. So I appealed to the family member to please come over and claim the cost from the funeral home. I will not allow them to take the value of all paying the money. And the government responsible. The government will help them to perform atrocities that mean the cause of death. So I appeal to them, order them to please come and take the cost from there. Yes, and then the first atrocities, pathology atrocity, claim that this particular Ibo was not died by train. The second atrocity man said he would die by what? Train.
Two separate reports.
No, the Ibo was not died by train.
Okay.
It was for the fireplace.
Okay.
From fireplace, they were not killed by plane.
By train.
I mean, train, rather.
Okay.
The report was the result went to the county attorney along with the family. So I now have no result for giving value.
So how long has the causes been here for?
As I told you, this month and November will make it 4 years for 2 of them.
Okay. So
4 years.
why you won't be done now?
Well, I appeal to them to come for the cops and pay my money, or else I'll get rid of them through the court. I'll get rid of the DC through the court.
You will bury them?
Yes, I will bury them.
Director of the St. Kennedy Funeral Home in Bangabon County. He is Kennedy's mate. Maryland County Senator J. Glebo Brown has frowned on bad governance under the Unity Party government, terming it a violation of the rule of law. Speaking at the opening of the 42nd section of the Liberian Senate on Tuesday, Senator Brown said continual refusal to adhere to the rule of law undermined the Ghana Accra Peace Accord.
And when we assembled in Accra, why did we fight war? We said it was bad governance. For this reason, the CPA, the Accra Peace Accord, established the Good Governance Commission, which later on became the Governance Commission. But we see today, the Governance Commission is becoming the grounds for the practice of bad governance. For 2 years, we've had the chairman and the co-chairman that have not come to this Senate. In fact, the Supreme Court had ruled that their nomination appointment was illegal. Yes, they are still in that position, managing and executing the budget that has been approved by this body. We are going for the 10th year. We will go for the 10th budget. These people are still there. I will make communication, but plenary invite the Minister of Justice as to why the executive cannot honor and respect the decisions of the Supreme Court of Liberia. The second thing I want to highlight has to do with the applications of the rape law. In 2014, our police that were before us passed a law, the harshest law, that to a large extent went against the interest of men in this country. When we came in 2015, we tried to review it. One of our colleagues tried to propose an amendment. Said, given the prevalent rate of rape in our country, babies are being raped, killed. So we said, let's swallow that bitter pill until we can reverse the trend of rape in our country. We see that the Inspector General of Police has introduced a new phenomenon in the application of the rape law. He is asking for DNA test from the American Embassy. This country has always trusted the decision of the police in investigation. Why now? So in this application, I'm going to have two. I'm almost done. I will have 2 ways of implementing the rape law.
Maryland County Senator J. Glebo Brown, they're speaking. The former president of the Liberia Council of Churches has underscored the need for President Joseph Boyka to reshuffle his cabinet. Bishop Cotto Brown noted that after 2 years of uncertainty, the president has not been able to overhaul his government as a means of ensuring inclusion and rotation.
And for President Buckeye to overhaul his cabinet. President Weah made the same underestimation, I would call it, kept one group of people for a long time, even when the public complained, and or when he himself felt like they may not have been matching up to expectation. But then sometimes you become protective, you become defensive, and sometimes you try to make it like when your actors are criticized, then you criticize. No, the work of the Liberian people is to review the performance of government, and they should do that every day. This is the work of the legislature also, but you know, the legislature, you got lawmakers, executive branch people who are working in tandem. They all can issue Facebook posts together, and of course, people don't understand the implications of all that kind of play. I call it. Maybe it's time, and I say maybe it's time to maybe get overhaul. Who knows? It may contribute to lessening the economic pain or the Liberians because somebody will come into office that may be cognizant of the fact that you could be replaced. And of course, it doesn't sometimes help because then it doesn't contribute to stability in performance, blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it's necessary. Imagine, President, we are keeping people for 6 years. They became the quote unquote unmovables. Maybe it's time. Maybe we're reaching the two-year mark. 2 years for national governance. 2 years, not just new phases. First, I think that the government should do a performance review. What were the objectives set? All the sectors? Where are we? We have 6 years. What did we set as our objective in the different sectors? Whether it's finance, human sport, health, agriculture, foreign affairs. What did we set as our objective? What do we want to achieve in 2 years? And where are we in that process? To me, they should tell us where they are. Focus on what they're doing and how they get Liberian people informed about what they're doing to be able to address the challenges they face economically. I think if they did that would be helpful because sometimes people don't even know what's happening.
Liberia Council of Churches, former President Bishop Kotu Brown. Sando County Senator Councilor Augustine Chie has decried what he termed deplorable conditions of schools in Sando County. Speaking Tuesday in the section, Councilor Chie said rapidly deteriorating state of public infrastructure and education in his county, calling for an urgent intervention in the upcoming national budget. Senator Chie described the alarming conditions of schools in Sando, especially public schools, as an extreme state of disrepair.
One of the areas I pay attention to during my break was the area of education. And I spend a good amount of time visiting schools, in addition to providing financial support in terms of materials and what have you to institutions. But what I observed is very serious. And this is where I'm coming from with this question. What do we do with all of the information we provide and briefing like this? Every time we come back, we do this. But when the budget comes to us, these things are not factored into the budget. Now, I have a problem in our country. Most of the schools inside of public school are in horrible condition. Some of them, no roof. The roof is there because of that. Some of the schools are not open. Please take note of that. The budget is coming to us. Let's look at these things and see how we can address some of the problems that our people are confronted through the budgetary process. There are students who are not in school in Sano at this time because there's no roof over their school building. I'm sure for some of you who follow the social media, you might see me donating today to many schools in the country just to ensure that they have roof over their head. We go to school. It should be our responsibility. They should be taken care of in the budget. And I emphasize to ensure that we do something about that.
Senator Chie also criticized the dilapidated condition of government buildings, including administrative complex, city hall, and other public service facilities.
In addition to that, our city roads, the roads in the city of Greenville, and regional county, don't see the roads. They are all in a deplorable condition. I brought that to the attention of the Minister of Public Works. And I spoke with the chair on public watch about that. He promised to help us. I hope that government will help us in dry season so that some work can be done on the city roads. The city of Greenville, the roads are impassable. As it really now, the rain is heaviest there at this time. Roads are impassable in the city. I'm talking about the city of Greenville. There's something needs to be done about that. We're going to look at the problem what God also about how we attend to these infrastructure issues in our country. Areas of concern is the way we neglect public functions. You go to Shiloh County, the largest public building in the county, which is the administration building, very beautiful building, is in neglect, dilapidated. They have not been maintained for I don't know how many years now. You go to the city hall, same thing. You go to the district buyer, administration building, very beautiful building, nobody using it now. The one put up, we're talking of problems are over. On infrastructure, there's something that we need to do beyond the just talking. The kind of measure to address this problem through the budget. And for me this time, when the budget comes in, the Senator Finley said, I will not vote for any budget.
Sando County Senator Councilor Augustine Chie. A reminder you're listening to King's Newsroom, 45 minutes news about Liberia, Africa, and our one world. Stories we're following tonight. Liberia National Police clears suspended Youth and Sports Deputy Minister Brian Mangil of rape allegations. RG Gregory Coleman says investigators found no incriminating evidence. St. Kennedy Funeral Parlor in Bond County issues 1 month ultimatum on families with overstay remains at its facility. Claims over $96,000 for environment caused. Maryland County Senator Glebo Brown accused his government of undermining Accra Peace Accord and violation of the nation's rule of law. Away from home, a Kenyan police officer stationed at one of the gates of the president's official residence in the capital Nairobi has died after being shot with an arrow, officials have said. We'll take another break to be back with more voices. Welcome back and thanks for being there. For the second day in row, academic activities at William V.S. Todman High School have come to a complete halt as frustrated 12th grader staged protest over the unexplained withholding of their mathematics results from the West African Senior School Certificate Examination. The West African Examination Council, the regional body responsible for administering the exams, has cited suspected collusion as the reason for the delay, but has since failed to provide any public evidence or clarification to support their claim. Our reporter Benjamin Jensen has this report.
Classes at William V.S. Todman High School in Monrovia have been disrupted for a second consecutive day as outgoing 12th grade students staged protests over withheld examination results. The students who completed this year's West African Senior School Certificate examinations are demanding the immediate release of their mathematical result, which they say is critical to finalizing their graduation process. According to the West African Examination Council, the results are being withheld over suspicions of collusions during the exam. The charge has not been publicly detailed. On Tuesday morning, dozens of students gathered on the school campus in protest, calling on WAS to act swiftly. The demonstrations had followed the suspensions of regular classes, with schools' operations at standstill and tensions remained on high. Education authorities have yet to issue an official statement on the situation. From Singapore, I am Benjamin Johnson, King News, Monrovia.
Benjamin Jensen with that report. In an effort to transform Liberia's tourism industry into a substance for inclusive economic growth, the Governance Commission, in partnership with the Ministry of Information, Culture, and Tourism and the Liberia National Tourism Authority, Tuesday convened a one-day public policy dialogue on tourism at the Ellen Johnson Silly Ministerial Complex outside Monrovia, held under the theme Reviewing Liberia's Tourism Sector for Inclusive Economic Growth and Development. The forum brought together government officials, private sector leaders, civil society actors, and international partners to chart a new course for tourism policy and development in Liberia. In his opening remarks, Professor Alaric Tokpa, chairman of the Governance Commission, described the forum as a timely and strategic platform aligned with Liberia's national development agenda.
In my capacity as acting chairman of the Governance Commission, I am deeply honored to welcome all of you to this National Tourism Policy Dialogue on behalf of the Board of Commissioners and the Governance Commission family, but particularly on behalf of the public sector formatted area, co-guided and directed by Commissioner Sianen Brasaki, who has led the organization of this policy dialogue. This dialogue is convening for the theme, the review of Liberia's tourism sector for sustained economic growth and development. The Governance Commission, in collaboration with the Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism, as well as the National Tourism Authority, has organized this forum to look at, among others, government leadership, passenger building in tourism, a review of tourism tax regime, the digitization of the tourism sector, the Ministry of Information, the Liberian Institute of Statistics and Geoinformation Services, (IGIS), and the Liberian Revenue Authority, among other institutions. This is a gathering of visionaries. It is a gathering of custodians and architects of Liberia's future. Thus today, we massively convene to embrace policy. We gather to reimagine possibilities. Let me therefore express our deepest appreciation to His Excellency President Joshua Imambaka Senior, whose visionary leadership has breathed life into the Liberia Tourism Authority package of the Liberia National Tourism Act. Under his administration is a milestone in our national development drive, an affirmation that tourism is central to our development vision, our cultural diplomacy, and our global rebranding. So on behalf of the Governance Commission, I extend heartfelt congratulations to the newly appointed leadership of the Liberia National Tourism Authority, with the Honorable Ms. Princess Ibakopa, Director General, and the Honorable Mr. Duba Doris, Jr., Deputy Director General for Planning, Research and Development. Their appointments mark the dawn of a new chapter, one that calls for bold stewardship, strategic foresight, and unwavering commitment to excellence.
Also speaking, Christopher Onanuga, Director General of the Liberia National Tourism Authority, called on stakeholders to review tourism as more than a recreational sector, but as a vehicle for the empowerment, environmental protection, and national transformation.
The sector to work better. But most importantly, we force it if it doesn't want to work well. Today, the room may look as if we're not ready. But when we're done with Liberia, we will increase the employment in all sectors beyond home. This drive is not a singular drive, it's a collective one. Tourism provides the opportunity for every human being to get 2 jobs. To first be employed, and then to be unemployed. With simple metrics, we move from step A to step B to C. The Director General Designate spoke about the sun and the sand that used to be. But with tourism, now environmental determinant and possibility, where we turn sand to glass and gold, and where we turn garbage into pearls and diamonds. That be understood right now. By the time we teach you how to use $300 to start a business, and in 4 months it starts to earn you $4,000, you will understand. You will understand. In agriculture, you have consolidated farms. In tourism, everything is consolidated. You are a wife, you are a businesswoman, you are a mother, but also you could be a mentor. We must first of all understand the characteristics, which is believing in yourself. And we're going to show you how to sensitize, how to orientate, how to brand Liberia, introduce Liberia to the world and market Liberia. You will feel the cold bones on your skin based on what people say about Liberia. And then you will know we're the final destination of choice.
Christopher Onanuga is the Director General of the Liberia National Tourism Authority. Ella, you heard the voice of Professor Alaric Tokba, Chairman of the Governors Commission. The civil society organization Solidarity and Trust for a New Day is demanding the immediate dismissal of Police Inspector General Gregory Coleman over his alleged involvement in the death of Matthew Moba, a man believed to have been mentally challenged. Speaker of Kings, Evan Monday stands National Secretary General George Tengbe described Moba's death as a cold-blooded killing. He expressed deep concern over the circumstances of the incident, which he claimed points to a disturbing pattern of extrajudicial killings, police brutality, and abuse of power under the administration of President Joseph Boakai.
Deeply outraged and heartbroken by the brutal killing of Massimo. He's a young man, that was living with mental illness and this come at the hands of officers of the Liberia National Police. We believe what should have been a simple call for help from a desperate family turned into a scene of horror and bloodshed. The people just called the Liberia National Police to alert them. So Matthew was not a criminal. He was a patient in distress. Yet, instead of compassion and care, he received bullets and brutality. We were on the scene. We investigated the crime scene independently. Eyewitnesses, along with video evidence, clearly showed that the police discharged multiple rounds, leaving Matthew bleeding and helpless before being handcuffed and injected with a sedative. And that is one of the issues that people should focus on. He was injected with a sedative. Now, people need to understand why. He was taken to JFK medical facility, but then later on, he was abandoned without medical attention after officers falsely branded him as armed robber. Imagine.
Stan Secretary General Josh Dengwe there speaking. Away from home, a Kenyan police officer stationed at one of the gates of the president's official residence in the capital, Nairobi, has died after being shot with an arrow, officials have said. Police said that on Monday morning, a 56-year-old man armed with a bow and arrow approached officers at the gate of State House and was ordered to surrender. Instead, he moved forward and shot PC Richmond in the ribs. The policeman was immediately taken to hospital but died while undergoing treatment, according to a police statement. The attack has raised questions about possible security lapses at State House. It is one of the Kenya's most heavily guarded locations. And Donald Trump's quick trip to Israel and Egypt was the victory he wanted. Anyone watching the speeches he made in Jerusalem could see in his power enduring the applause in Israel's parliament and in Egypt, basking in the fact that so many heads of state and government had flown in. Over veteran diplomats in the room said it looked as if Trump saw the road of the world leaders there as extra as a film said. Well, on that note, that's how we'll come to the near end of this edition of King's Newsroom. But before we leave, a quick reminder of stories we followed in the headlines. Liberia National Police clears suspended Juventus Sports Deputy Minister Brian McGill of rape allegations. RG Gregory Coleman says investigators found no incriminating evidence. St. Kennedy Funeral Parlor in Bond County issues 1 month ultimatum on families with overstay remains at its facility, claims over $90,000 United States dollars for environment cost. You also heard in the news Maryland County Senator J. Glebo Brown accuses government of undermining Accra Peace Accord in violation of the nation's rule of law. Away from home, a Kenyan police officer stationed at one of the gates of the president's official residence in the capital, Nairobi, has died after being shot with an arrow, officials have said. Many thanks to our reporters, correspondents, and all those who helped in making this edition of King's Newsroom. Nathan Tokba brought you the news bulletin. Columnist Johnson sat at control and handled the technical aspect of this edition. On behalf of the team, I'm Shemon Dale. I represented. Thanks for listening and watching.